ask you something real. How many of you are fighting battles right now that are not even yours to fight? Think about that for a second. You're out here swinging at stuff that has nothing to do with your purpose. You are arguing with people who do not matter. You're stressing over situations you cannot control. And while you are wasting all your energy on these little fights, you are missing the big picture of what God is trying to do in your life. I see people every day exhausting themselves over the wrong things. They are fighting with coworkers who are not going where they are going. They are arguing with family members about stuff that happened 10 years ago. They are stressed about what somebody posted on social media. Meanwhile, their purpose is sitting there waiting for them to show up. Their destiny is calling, but they cannot hear it because they are too busy yelling at people who do not deserve their energy. Here is something I learned the hard way. Not every battle is your battle. Just because somebody comes to you does not mean you have to engage. Just because there is a conflict does not mean you have to be in the middle of it. Some fights are distractions designed to keep you from your destination. And if you are not careful, you will spend your whole life winning battles that do not matter while losing the war for your purpose. You have to learn how to identify your real battles. Your real battles are the ones that align with your purpose, the ones that move you closer to where God is taking you, the ones that matter in the big picture of your life. Everything else is just noise. Everything else is just a distraction. And the enemy knows that if he can keep you busy fighting the wrong things, you will never have the energy to fight for the right things. Think about how much time you wasted this week on stuff that does not matter. Think about how many hours you spent upset about something that will not matter in 5 years. Think about all the energy you poured into people who are not even thinking about you right now. That is time and energy you could have invested in yourself, in your dreams, in your family, in your future. But instead, you gave it away to battles that were never yours to begin with. I need you to get strategic about your fighting. A soldier does not just run into every conflict. A good soldier knows which battles to engage and which battles to walk past. A good soldier conserves energy for the fights that really count. And you need to start thinking like a soldier. You need to start asking yourself, before every conflict, is this worth my energy? Is this moving me forward or holding me back? Is this my fight, or am I just being pulled into somebody else's drama? The moment you start recognizing the wrong fights is the moment you start winning the right ones, because now your energy is focused. Now your attention is directed. Now you are not scattered all over the place, fighting everybody about everything. You are locked in on what matters. You are protecting your peace. You are guarding your purpose. And that is when real progress starts to happen in your life. Here is where it gets good. When you finally get to the point where you say, God, I cannot do this anymore, take it from me. That is not a weakness. I need you to understand that that is not you giving up. That is, you are finally getting smart enough to let somebody bigger handle your situation. Surrender is the most powerful thing you can do because it takes real strength to admit you need help. Anybody can keep fighting. It takes a strong person to stop and say, I need to let go. We have this backwards idea in our culture that surrender means defeat. That laying down your weapons means you lost. But in the spiritual realm, surrender is actually the beginning of victory. Because when you stop trying to do it in your own strength, you make room for supernatural strength to step in. When you stop trying to figure it all out, you allow divine wisdom to take over. Surrender is not the end. It is the beginning of something much bigger than you could ever create on your own. I want you to think about surrender like this. Imagine you are drowning in the ocean. You are fighting and kicking and struggling to keep your head above water. And a lifeguard swims out to save you. But you are so busy fighting that you keep pushing the lifeguard away. You keep trying to save yourself. And the lifeguard keeps telling you to stop fighting, stop struggling, let me carry you to shore. That is what God is saying to you right now. Stop fighting me. Stop struggling against me. Let me carry you to safety. The reason surrender is so hard for us is that we are afraid of losing control. We think if we let go, everything will fall apart. But here is the truth. Everything is already falling apart while you are trying to control it. Your way is not working. Your methods are not producing results. Your strength is not enough. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you can experience the peace that comes from placing your situation in the hands of something much bigger than your own. Surrender requires trust, and trust is built over time. Maybe you have been let down before. Maybe people have failed you. Maybe you tried trusting God in the past, and it felt like nothing happened. I understand that. Those experiences make it hard to let go again. But I want you to consider that maybe your timing was off. Maybe you did not wait long enough to see the result. Maybe what felt like silence was actually protection. God is not like the people who have failed you. His track record is perfect, even when you cannot see the full picture. When you surrender, you are not giving up on your goals. You are giving up on your way of reaching them. You are saying, God, I still want this blessing, but I am going to let you choose how it comes to me. I still want this breakthrough, but I am going to let you decide when it happens. I still want this victory, but I am going to let you fight this battle because my arms are tired. That is what real surrender looks like. It is not passive, it is a purposeful releasing of control. The power of surrender is that it positions you for miracles. It creates space for God to move in ways you never could have orchestrated yourself. When you are holding on so tight with clenched fists, nothing new can come in. But when you open your hands and release what you have been gripping, suddenly there is room for something better to be placed in your palms. Surrender empties you of your limited plans so God can fill you with His unlimited possibilities. You know what your problem is. And I say this with love. You are a control freak. You want to manage every outcome. You want to know every detail. You want to plan every step. But life does not work that way. And the more you try to control things, the more out of control you actually become. Some things you just have to release. You've got to open your hands and let it go and trust that what is meant for you will find its way to you. Control is an illusion anyway. You cannot control other people. You cannot control circumstances. You cannot control the economy, the weather, the traffic, or what anybody else decides to do with their life. The only thing you can truly control is yourself, your reactions, your attitude, your effort. And when you finally accept that and stop trying to control everything outside of yourself, you will experience a freedom you have never known before. I used to be the person who had to have every detail figured out. I could not move forward unless I knew exactly how things were going to unfold. But God does not work that way. He gives you just enough light for the next step. He does not show you the whole staircase because He wants you to trust Him on every single step. And when you demand to see the whole plan before you take the first step, you end up stuck, paralyzed, going nowhere because you are too busy trying to control something that was never in your hands to begin with. Think about how much anxiety your need for control has caused you. Every time something does not go according to your plan, you fall apart. Every time life throws you a curveball, you panic. Every time people do not behave the way you expected, you are devastated. That is a miserable way to live, and it does not have to be that way. When you release control, you release anxiety with it. When you stop demanding that life conform to your expectations, you can actually enjoy the life that is unfolding in front of you. Some of you are trying to control things that are above your pay grade. You are trying to control your children's choices when they are grown adults. You are trying to control your spouse's behavior instead of focusing on your own. You are trying to control situations at work that are way beyond your authority. And all that is doing is frustrating you and annoying everybody around you. Let people live. Let situations unfold. Focus on what you can control and make peace with what you cannot. The beautiful thing about releasing control is that it actually positions you for better outcomes. Because when you are not micromanaging everything, God has room to work. When you are not forcing doors open, He can open the right doors at the right time. When you are not manipulating circumstances, He can orchestrate situations in ways that are far better than anything you could have planned. Your control actually limits what He can do. Your surrender expands what He can do. I am not telling you to be passive or irresponsible. There is a difference between releasing control and being lazy. You still do your part. You still work hard. You still prepare. You still plan. But after you have done everything you can do, you release the outcome. You stop obsessing over results you cannot force. You trust that if you have done your part, God will do His part. That is the balance. Work as it depends on you. Pray as it depends on God. Then let go and watch what happens. I learned something a long time ago that changed my whole perspective. The people who come against you, the ones talking behind your back, the ones trying to block your blessings, they are not really your enemies. They are just tools being used to distract you from your purpose. And when you understand that, you stop fighting people and you start letting God handle them for you. Because your real battle is not against flesh and blood anyway. We spend so much time focused on the people who oppose us that we forget they are not the real issue. The person hating on you is not your enemy. They are being used by the enemy. The coworker trying to sabotage you is not your enemy. They are a pawn in a bigger game. When you start seeing people as puppets rather than puppet masters, it changes how you respond to them. You stop fighting them and start praying for them, because you realize they do not even fully understand why they are doing what they are doing. Here's a question I want you to consider. What if your enemies are actually blessings in disguise? What if the people opposing you are actually positioning you for promotion? What if their attacks are actually making you stronger? What if every hater in your life is just part of God's plan to build your character and prepare you for the next level? When you start seeing it that way, you do not get mad at your enemies anymore. You actually start to appreciate them. The problem with fighting your enemies yourself is that you usually sink to their level. They throw dirt and you throw dirt back. They talk about you and you talk about them. They play games and you play games. And before you know it, you have become just like the person you claim to despise. But when you let God fight your battles, you stay elevated, you stay in your purpose, you stay focused on what matters. You do not get dragged into the mud because you are too busy climbing higher. Some of your enemies are dealing with things you know nothing about. They are hurting in ways you cannot see. They are broken in places you cannot reach. And their attacks on you have nothing to do with you and everything to do with their own pain. When you realize that, it changes how you see them. It does not excuse their behavior, but it explains it. Hurt people. And instead of fighting them, maybe you should be feeling sorry for them. I want you to try something. The next time somebody comes against you, instead of responding with anger, respond with silence. Instead of plotting revenge, start praying for them. Instead of gossiping about what they did, just let it go. Watch how confused they get when their attacks do not produce the reaction they expected. Watch how God handles the situation better than you ever could. Watch your peace remain intact while they spiral out of control, waiting for a fight that never comes. Your focus determines your future. And if you are constantly focused on your enemies, you are giving them power over your destiny. They are controlling your emotions. They are stealing your time. They are occupying space in your mind that should be reserved for your vision. Stop letting people who do not matter take up prime real estate in your head. Evict them from your thoughts. Focus on your purpose and let God deal with everybody who tried to stop you from becoming who He created you to be. Some of you need to hear this. Rest is not lazy. Taking a step back is not quitting. Sometimes the best thing you can do in a battle is be still. I know that sounds crazy to some of you hustlers out there. But there is a time to work, and there is a time to wait. There is a time to push, and there is a time to pause. And knowing the difference is what separates the wise from the worn out. We have been taught that constant grinding is the key to success. That if you are not hustling 24/7, you are falling behind. That rest is for the weak and sleep is for the dead. But let me tell you something. That mentality has destroyed more dreams than it has built. People are burning themselves out trying to prove how hard they work, sacrificing their health, their families, their peace of mind, all for the hustle. And for what? To end up exhausted, bitter, and still not where they want to be. God rested on the seventh day. Now think about that. The creator of the entire universe, the one with unlimited power and energy, chose to rest. Not because he was tired, but because he was setting an example for you. He was showing you that rest is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is strategic, it is necessary. If God himself built rest into his rhythm, who are you to think you do not need it? Rest is where you recover. It is where you recharge. It is where you hear from God clearly because you finally slowed down enough to listen. Some of you cannot hear God's direction for your life because you are too busy running around making noise. You are so busy doing that you have no time for being. You are so busy talking that you have no time for listening. And God is trying to give you instructions, but you keep missing them because you will not be still long enough to receive them. There is a difference between resting and quitting. Resting is a temporary pause to gather strength for the next push. Quitting is a permanent stop because you gave up. When you rest, you are still in the game. You are on the sideline catching your breath, but you are still watching the field. You are still engaged. You are still committed. You are just smart enough to know that you cannot play every quarter at full speed without eventually collapsing. Strategic rest also confuses your enemy. When you are constantly moving and fighting, your opponent knows your patterns. They can predict your moves. They know when you are weak. But when you rest, when you pull back, when you go quiet for a season, they do not know what is happening. They do not know if you are planning something big. They do not know if you are about to come back stronger. Your rest creates uncertainty for those who oppose you while you are getting recharged in secret. I am not going to stand here and tell you that waiting on God is easy, because it is not. When you are in pain, when you are struggling, when you cannot see the way out, waiting feels impossible. Every day feels like a year. Every night feels endless. Every setback feels like proof that nothing will ever change. But let me tell you something. God is working even when you cannot see it. The delay is not a denial. The waiting period is a preparation period. Some of the best things in life take time to develop. You cannot rush a pregnancy. You cannot speed up a harvest. You cannot microwave a masterpiece. And God is doing a work in you that requires time. He is building something in your character that cannot be built quickly. He is developing patience, faith, perseverance, and strength in you. And all of that takes time, pressure, and process. The problem is we live in a microwave society. We want everything instant, fast food, fast internet, fast results. And when God operates on his timeline instead of ours, we get frustrated. We start questioning if he even heard our prayers. We start doubting if he even cares about our situation. But God is not a microwave. He is a crock pot. He is slow, cooking something so good that you would never want the quick version once you taste the finished product. I know the process hurts sometimes. I know it feels like you are being stretched beyond your capacity. I know there are days when you wonder if you can keep going. Those feelings are valid. That pain is real. I am not here to minimize what you are going through. But I am here to tell you that the process is purposeful. Everything you are experiencing is producing something in you. The struggle is not meaningless. It is building you for what is coming next. Think about the caterpillar becoming a butterfly. If you cut that cocoon open early to help the butterfly escape, it will never fly. The struggle to break free is what develops the wing strength needed for flight. If you remove the struggle, you remove the strength. And the same is true for you. The battles you are fighting right now are developing spiritual muscles you will need for where God is taking you. If he removed every struggle, you would arrive at your destination too weak to handle it. Trusting the process means believing in what you cannot see yet. It means having faith that the seeds you planted will eventually produce fruit. It means understanding that some blessings have a delivery time that you cannot change, no matter how hard you try. You cannot make a baby come at 6